Hari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatar Shatar Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Guru Devi ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatar Shatar Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatar Shatar Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatar Shatar Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatar Shatar Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shilagor Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai. Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. नाम अचाय श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Oh, and let's go from, sorry. Jai Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Ballabha Tīrtha Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Dayit Madhav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj ki jai. All the associates of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Then Shri Mādhavendra Purī ki jai. Tatiya Shubha Avirvav Tithi ki jai. Jai Shri Parameśvarī Ṭhākura ki jai. Tatiya Shubha Tiravav Tithi ki jai. Jai Shri Śrīnivāsācārya ki jai. Tatiya Shubha Avirvav Tithi ki jai. Jai Shri, I think today is also Buddha Purnima, and also I think the appearance of Kurmadev. So Buddha and Kurmadev ki jai, I think. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams everybody. Hari Bo, Sarveshwari Mataji and Hari Krishna Prabhu, Archana Didi, Champak Mataji, Shri Devi Didi, Mādhavendra Purī Prabhu, and Anjali Didi. Hari Bo. So today is going to be a bit of a long reading. If anybody has to leave at any point, no worries at all. I totally understand. We're going to try to get through 8,500 words, which is a lot more than normal. So just wanted to let you guys know that first. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah. A devotee messaged me and mentioned that today is the appearance of Kurmadev. And so then he sent me something to read about Kurmadev. It's very short. So let's just start off with that. So in the Sri Śrīla Prabhupada Vaishishta Sampad or Samadhan Sampad, pages 4 to 5, Srila Bhakti Vilas Bharati Maharaj, a disciple of Srila Saraswati Ṭhākura, has detailed the significance of Kurmadev, the tortoise form of Vishnu, in Ras Vichar. Kurmadev is described in Alankara Shastra as the deity of Adbhut Ras, the mellow of wonder that makes other rasas ever newly wonderful. This wonder is most wonderful in the Leela of Sri Gauranga, who is Krishna attempting to taste the wonder of himself, and even more wonderfully, distributing the wonder of his most wonderful pastimes to all, including the most fallen. Therefore, in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami repeatedly uses the words Achinta, Chamatkar, and Chitra, all of which indicate inconceivability and wonder. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 16, he also describes that when all rasas simultaneously appear in Sri Chaitanya Dev, he becomes overwhelmed and takes, or is overtaken by the form of kurma. The importance of Kurma Dev in Ras Vichar is also hinted at by his being invoked in the last chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam 12.13.2, the topmost Shastra, which brings all Vedic knowledge to conclusion of Ras. Thus, Bimala Prasad's worship of Kurma is not merely incidental, but of deep import. Jai Kurma Dev ki jai, jai Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki jai. All right, so now we are going to be reading from this book, Sri Caitanya and His Associates by Srila Bhakti Ballabha Tīrtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And I think I'm going to start from, we'll go first through Śrīnivāsācārya and then work our way up. Śrīnivāsācārya, then Parameśvarī Ṭhākura, and we'll conclude with Mādhavendra Purī Śrīnivāsācārya, because the Mādhavendra Purī Śrīnivāsācārya chapter is very long. So that's why I thought to do it in that order. All right. So just sharing my screen, then we'll begin. Oh, Hare Krishna, Amit Dandekar, and whoever else is watching there on YouTube and Facebook. There you go. All right. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. I'm a bit spaced out. I always get spacey after fasting. Okay. Where is it? Sri Caitanya and His Associates. Huh. Let's just type in associates. Should come up then. All right. Let's find Śrīnivāsācārya. He should be a bit further down. There he is. Śrīnivāsācārya. Oh, Sarveshwari Mataji, maybe at the end of the reading we can go through that. Is that okay? Yeah, the question? Okay. Yeah. Okay, Śrīnivāsācārya. Śrīnivāsācārya was born in 1530 AD on the full moon day of the month of Vaishak, combined with Rohini Nakshatra, in the village of Chakhandi, which lies just north of Agradweep in the district of Nadia. His father, Gangadhar Bhattacharya, was a Brahmin of the Radha class. The Bhakti Ratnakar describes how this came about. And this is from... So, Gangadhar was overcome with grief when Mahaprabhu took sannyas in Katwa, and he began to cry constantly while calling out the names, Ha Caitanya, Ha Caitanya. When the other devotees saw him intoxicated in divine love for Mahaprabhu, they nicknamed him Caitanya Das, a name that stuck with him for the rest of his life. Caitanya Das was indifferent to the things of this world, but one day he suddenly felt a strong wish to have a son and told this to his wife, Lakshmi Priya. She responded by telling him to go immediately to Puri to submit to Mahaprabhu. The couple left for Puri, first stopping for a few days in Jajigram at the house of Lakshmi Priya's father, Balaram Vipra. When they arrived in Puri, Caitanya Das and his wife paid their obeisances to Mahaprabhu. Before they could speak, the Lord himself spoke, understanding their wish to have a son. Then Mahaprabhu said, Jagannath Dev will surely fulfill all your desires. The other devotees were curious about what desire Mahaprabhu was talking about. Mahaprabhu called Govinda and said in a deep voice, as if from a trance state, said, Caitanya Das desires to have a child. Indeed, his wife will soon give birth to a jewel of a son who will be named Śrīnivās. He will be the manifest form of my love and will increase everyone's enthusiasm for devotion. I will bring scriptures into the world through Rupa Gosvāmī and others. Through Śrīnivāsa, I shall distribute them. Śrīnivāsa is the embodiment of pure love for me. All minds will be enthused upon seeing him. That's from the second chapter of Bhakti Ratnakara, verses 120 to 123. Once they had received Mahaprabhu's blessing, Caitanya Das and his wife returned to their home, and when the auspicious moment came, a son was born to them. Caitanya Das immediately consecrated the child to Mahaprabhu. The baby went through the early childhood rituals of the first feeding of solid food, name giving. What's tanshir mean? A part of a monk's or priest's head left bare on the top by shape. Okay, so hair cutting, and sacred thread ceremony. The associates of Mahaprabhu, such as Govinda Ghosh, and residents of Srikhanda, such as Narahari and Raghunandan, poured affectionate blessings on the child. Wow. Okay, never mind. Early education and travels. Oh, and Haribol, Krishnamaya Didi, and Raseshwari Mataji. Krishnamaya Didi, just letting you know, this is going to go on pretty late tonight. I mean, this is a long reading today, so yeah, feel free to leave whenever. I know it's very late for you there. Early education and travels. Śrīnivāsācārya was devoted to his parents. He was fortunate to hear about Mahaprabhu's divine glories, as well as Radha and Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes from Caitanya Das, his father. Father and son would go into an ecstatic state as they discuss these transcendental topics. His mother trained him in various forms of Nam Sankirtan. Interesting. He studied grammar, literature, and poetic theory from Dhananjaya Vidyavachaspati and quickly acquired mastery of these subjects. Śrīnivasa's father left the world while he was still quite young. The loss of his father's association greatly affected Śrīnivāsa, but the other devotees made a concerted effort to console him and his mother in their grief. Śrīnivāsa took his mother and moved from Chakhandi to his maternal grandfather's house in Jajigram, where the villagers were overjoyed to see him. Shortly after moving to Jajigram, he went to visit Narahari Sarkar in nearby Srikhanda. From Narahari Sarkar, he learned that Mahaprabhu would shortly be ending his earthly pastimes. This news made Śrīnivāsa determined to see the Lord before it happened. He quickly returned to Jajigram and took permission from his mother to make the trip to Puri. He then joined the devotees on the annual pilgrimage. It was the 5th day of the waxing moon. Before Śrīnivāsa arrived in Puri, however, the news that Mahaprabhu had indeed ended his Leela reached the party of pilgrims. Śrīnivāsācārya fainted at hearing this report, and when he came back to consciousness, he decided to commit suicide. However, the Lord himself appeared to him in a dream and told him to complete his journey to Puri. Once in Puri, he again had a dream in which he saw Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, as well as Caitanya Mahaprabhu with his associates. In Puri, Śrīnivāsācārya met Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswāmī, the avatar of Mahaprabhu's pleasure potency, and both of them were immersed in an ocean of ecstasy. He also met Rai Ramananda, Parameśvarī Purī, Shiki Mahidi, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Vakreshwar Pandit, Govinda Shankar Pandit, and Gopinath Acharya, and received blessings from them all. Śrīnivāsa stayed in Puri for some time, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit Goswāmī, and was enchanted. Gadadhar then told him to return to Goda. While on his way to Bengal, Śrīnivāsa learned that Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu had also wound up their earthly pastimes. Once again, determined to end his life in their separation. He determined to end his life in their separation, but the two Prabhus appeared to him in a dream to assuage his grief. assuage. Is it assuage? Yeah. Assuage his grief and persuaded him to give up his resolve. When he arrived in Navadvip, Śrīnivāsa was once again plunged into an ocean of despondency at the loss of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Vangshivardhan Ṭhākura saw him in this condition and approached Vishnupriya Devi and asked her to grant Śrīnivāsa an audience and to bless him. Śrīnivāsācārya was amazed to see Srimati Vishnupriya Devi's deep faith in Mahaprabhu's worship and her intense renunciation. While in Navadvip, he had a dream of Shachi Devi and received blessings from her too. Śrīnivāsa then wandered throughout Bengal, going to all the Shripats of the associates of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, seeking their blessings. In this way, he visited Shantipur, Kardaha, Kanakul, Krishnanagar, and Sri Khanda. Among the Parshads, among the Parshads he met were Murari Gupta, Srivas Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Shuklambar Brahmachari, Gadadhar Das, Parameśvarī Das, Janava Devi, Vasudha Devi, Veerabhadra Abhiram Thakur, Narahari Sarkar Thakur, and Raghunandan Thakur. One second, let me just put this up here. Okay. Interesting that he had darshan of Parameśvarī Das, whose disappearance date is today. Okay, all these great personalities witnessed Śrīnivāsa's intense devotion and told him to go to Vrindavan. Śrīnivāsa then went to his mother and repeatedly asked her for permission to make the trip. His mother could not refuse when she saw his eagerness. This picture of the Prabhu-tray of Narottam Das Thakur, Śrīnivāsācārya, and Shyamananda, that's Śrīnivāsācārya in the middle there. Okay, Śrīnivāsa arrives in Vraj. Śrīnivāsa then traveled through Agradvip, Katwa, Moreshwar, and Ekachakra, and then went to Kashi, Ayodhya, and Prayag. He spent a long time visiting all these holy places before he finally arrived in Vraj. There, he learnt that Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Kashishwar Pandit, and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had all disappeared. Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Jiva Goswami were still living, however. Śrīnivāsa met all three of them and received their blessings. He was initiated by Gopal Bhatta Goswami and took initiation in the Vaishnava scriptures from Jiva Goswami. In great affection for Śrīnivāsa, Jiva Goswami commended him to his deities, Radha Damodar. Śrīnivāsa met Raghunath Das Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Radha Kund and received their blessings. One day, Sri Jiva Goswami heard Śrīnivāsa explain a verse from Ujjvala Nilamani, and he was so impressed by his erudition that he bestowed the title Acharya upon him. Jiva Goswami also gave the titles Thakur to Narottam and Shyamananda to Dukhi Krishnadas. Jiva Goswami ordered Śrīnivāsācārya Prabhu to tour all of Vraj's pilgrimage sites with Raghav Goswami. The return to Bengal. Sri Jiva Goswami and the other Vaishnavas in Vraj ordered Śrīnivāsācārya, Narottam Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu to take manuscripts of the invaluable Goswami's literature to Bengal in an ox cart. They placed them in a chest that was offered to them by a rich merchant in Mathura, back to Bengal in an ox cart. They set off on the Shukla Panchami of the Agrahayan month. It was a long and dangerous trip, but they were able to cover the greater part of the distance without any trouble. Upon arriving in the Hindu kingdom of Ban Vishnupur, they felt that the danger was over. However, the rumor had reached the capital of Vishnupur that a rich merchant was traveling to Puri with a valuable cargo of merchandise. Virahambir, the ruler of Ban Vishnupur, was also the leader of a gang of highwaymen. When he heard that a cargo of great value was passing through his territory, he asked an astrologer to confirm the truth of the rumors. The astrologer confirmed that the chest being carried on the ox cart was indeed of great value. The king immediately sent a group of robbers to steal the chest, thinking it contained gold and jewels. He specified to the robbers that they should kill no one. Well, thank God for that. The robbers first worshipped the goddess Chandi, then sent out a spy who returned to tell them that everyone in the group accompanying the ox cart was sleeping in exhaustion after eating their evening meal. The robbers felt that Chandi had mercifully given them a golden opportunity to make the raid. They stole the chest of books and turned them over to the king of Vishnupur. When Virahambir saw the large chest, he was delighted at the prospect of finding large booty inside. How disappointed he must have been to see nothing but books. He turned to the astrologer and asked him how he could have made such a mistake. The astrologer answered, "I can't understand it. Every time I made my calculations, I came up with the same conclusion. This chest is full of priceless jewels. It is incredible. I don't know why my calculations have gone wrong." The mere sight of the holy books had a purifying effect on the king, however, and he regretted having stolen them. Indeed, he desired to meet with the acharya who owns them. That night, he had a dream in which this acharya appeared to him, and this pacified him somewhat. The next morning, Śrīnivāsācārya, Narottam Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu awoke to find the chest of books missing. They searched everywhere, but when they failed to find any clue of the book's whereabouts, they felt so depressed that they considered killing themselves. Some local villagers saw the distressed condition of the three Vaishnavas and immediately suspected the robber king, Virahambir, and rebuked him. Śrīnivāsācārya made some further inquiries and was assured that he would be able to find more information from the king himself. The three Vaishnavas felt some hope and abandoned their suicidal intentions. Śrīnivāsācārya decided to remain in Vishnupur in the hope that he would be able to recover the manuscripts. But he sent Narottam Das Thakur to Kaituri and Shyamananda Prabhu to Odisha. The conversion of Virahambir. While staying in Vishnupur, Śrīnivāsācārya heard from a Brahmin named Krishna Ballabha that Virahambir liked to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam and daily attend its recital. One day, Śrīnivāsācārya went with this Brahmin to the place where the Bhagavat was recited. The Brahmin introduced Śrīnivāsācārya to the king as a great Vaishnava. The king indeed observed the characteristics of a great person in him and was attracted to him. The king expressed a desire to hear Śrīnivāsācārya speak on the Bhagavat, and Śrīnivāsācārya agreed, thinking that this might be a good opportunity to recover the books. So he started to speak on the Bhagavat on a daily basis. The king was enchanted by Śrīnivāsācārya's unprecedented explanations of the Bhagavat in his sweet voice. Śrīnivāsācārya preached Mahaprabhu's teachings both through speaking on the Bhagavat and by kirtan, while Narottam Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu primarily used the medium of kirtan. Each of them had his own particular style of kirtan, by which they intoxicated their listeners with devotional ecstasy. The styles that these three acharyas used respectively were Manohar Shahi, Garan Hati, and Renati. It's interesting, we just read before that Śrīnivāsācārya learned how to sing from his mother. So I wonder how much influence of his mother is in that Manohar Shahi style. Virahambir arranged for a secluded dwelling to be given to Śrīnivāsācārya. One day, when he had the opportunity to find the king alone in his apartments, Śrīnivāsācārya recounted the entire story of his journey from Vraj and the theft of the manuscripts. The king immediately confessed, showing great sorrow for his misdeed, and had the chest of books returned to him. Greatly relieved, Śrīnivāsācārya immediately sent messengers to Vrindavan, to Narottam Das Thakur, and to Shyamananda Prabhu with the good news. In the course of time, Virahamvir and his entire entourage all took initiation from Śrīnivāsācārya and dedicated their entire lives and wealth to him. At initiation, Virahamvir was given the name Caitanya Das. Interesting, he gave it the same name as his father. Oh, Haribol, Manju Lali Didi, and Nuri Haribol and Bhavatarani Mataji. I didn't see you before. Haribol. Okay. Oh, 1 second. I just want to get this up on the screen. And Haribol Vangshiwala Prabhu. Okay, Śrīnivāsācārya's marriage. After staying in Vishnupur for some time, Śrīnivāsācārya returned to his maternal grandfather's house in Jajigram. Then he set off on another tour of Katwa, Navadvip, and other towns in Bengal. Śrīnivāsācārya respected Narahari Sarkar of Sri Khanda greatly, and was also very devoted to his saintly mother. When Narahari Sarkar heard Śrīnivāsācārya's mother expressed her desire to see her son married, he gave him the order to do so. Well, Narahari Sarkar Thakur gave him the order to get married. Even prior to receiving this order, Śrīnivāsācārya had received the same command from Advaita Acharya in a dream. Though he felt somewhat ashamed, he realized that he could not ignore the wishes of Advaita Prabhu, Narahari Sarkar, and his mother. He thus agreed to get married and was wed to Ishvari, the devoted daughter of Gopala Chakravarti of Jajigram. It is not always easy to understand the divine activities of Mahaprabhu's devotees. Only someone who is totally surrendered to the Lord and his devotees can comprehend their glories. Śrīnivāsācārya's preaching activities. Śrīnivāsācārya started to teach the Gosvāmī's books to his disciples in Jajigram. One of his most important disciples was Ramachandra Kaviraj, the son of Sri Khanda resident Chiranjeev Sen. Sri Jiva Goswami Prabhu gave Ramachandra the title Kaviraj after hearing his poems. Narottam Thakur had a close friendship with Ramachandra Kaviraj and even wrote about it in one of his songs. This is very famous from the song Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More. Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Śrīnivāsa Ramachandra Sangha Mage Narottam Dasa. Hare Krishna Shubhananda Prabhu. When Shuklambar Brahmachari, Gadadhar Das, Narahari Sarkar, and Dvija Haridasacharya all ended their earthly activities, Śrīnivāsācārya was once again overcome with grief and made another trip to Vrindavan. Ramachandra Kaviraj and Shyamananda Prabhu also joined Śrīnivāsācārya and Vraj on this occasion. Śrīnivāsācārya met with Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sri Jiva Goswami, as well as with Bhugarbha Goswami and Lokanath Goswami, and these great devotees encouraged him and diminished his feelings of loss. When he returned to Gauda, Śrīnivāsācārya joined in the festivities, occasioning the departure of Gadadhar Das in Katwa, Narahari Sarkar in Sri Khanda, and Dvija Haridasacharya in Kanchana Gaudiya. From there, he went to Budhari village, where Ramachandra Kaviraj and Govinda Kaviraj hosted him in great opulence. Narottam Das Thakur had also left Vrindavan on Lokanath Goswami's orders, returning to Keturi. On the full moon day of Falgun, he established the worship of 6 sets of deities in the temple there: Sri Gauranga, Sri Vallabhikanta, Sri Vrajmohan, Sri Krishna, Sri Radhakant, and Sri Radharaman. Śrīnivāsācārya performs the installation ceremony and the first puja. Janava Devi was also present at this event. After the festival, she went on to Vraj with her entourage. Upon her return, she met with Śrīnivāsācārya at Katwa, and then went with him to Jajigram, where she spent some time as his guest. Śrīnivāsācārya made another trip to Navadvip with Narottam Thakur and Ramachandra Kaviraj, performing the parikrama of the 9 islands each of which represents one of the limbs of devotional service. When Raghunandan Thakur entered the Nitya Lila, Śrīnivāsācārya went to Srikhanda and participated in the Disappearance festival. He returned with a heavy heart to Jajigram, and from there went to Ban Vishnupur. The king and the other residents of the town were excited by his visit and received him with great pomp. In Vishnupur, Śrīnivāsācārya received an order from Mahaprabhu in a dream to accept the hand of Gauranga Priya, the daughter of a certain Raghav Chakravarti. Raghav Chakravarti and his wife, Madhavi, had been searching for a suitable husband for their daughter. They had simultaneously received the order to give their daughter in marriage to Śrīnivāsācārya in a dream. Śrīnivāsācārya thus married for the second time. So the first wife's name was Ishvari, right? And then the second wife is Gauranga Priya. Pure devotees have no objective in life other than to fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord. They are thus ready to do anything if it pleases the Lord. None of their activities has the slightest hint for material desire in it. Śrīnivāsācārya is the Shaktivishta avatar of Mahaprabhu, and only a person who has received his special blessings can describe his transcendental activities. All right, so Jai Śrīnivāsācārya ki Jai. All right, so now we are going to move over to Parameśvarī Ṭhākura. Where is it? Parameśvarī Ṭhākura. Let's find it. Did I skip it? So many personalities. I think I skipped it. Sorry, guys. I'm like, my brain is, I'm not very sharp right now. Yeah, I think I could just type it in also. Yeah, let me do that. Okay, I'm going to type it in. Parameśvarī. Oops. Parameśvarī. There he is. Oh, Parameshwar Das. Interesting. Okay. So this is Gauraganadishtipika, verse 132. Namna Arjuna Saka Pragyo Dasa Parameshwaraha. Parameshwar Das Thakur was previously Arjuna, one of Krishna's 12 cowherd boyfriends. Okay, so Krishna's Saka Arjuna. Srila Parameśvarī Ṭhākura appeared in a Vaidya family, physician family. He made his home in Antapur, a village which was previously known as Vishkali. His Shripat is close to the Antapur station on the Champadanga branch of the Howrah-Ankta rail line, and near the old Radha Govinda temple established by Krishna Ram Mitra, the late Diwan, the chief minister of Burdwan's king, Tej Bahadur. Interesting. Okay. After the Lord took sannyas in Katwa, he headed for Vrindavan in a state of divine intoxication before being diverted to Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur by Nityananda Prabhu. Shachi Mata and the other devotees from Navadip all came to see the Lord there. At his mother's request, Mahaprabhu agreed to stay in Puri and took the path through Chhatrabhog to Nilachal in the company of Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda, Jagarananda Pandit, and Damodar Pandit. I've been to Chhatrabhog many times with Tīrtha Maharaj. The first time that the Lord wished to go to Vrindavan from Nilachal, he came through Bengal. Though he was eventually unsuccessful, he passed through Panihati, Kumarhatta, Kulia, Ramkeli, Kanar, Natshala, Shantipur before returning to Puri. When Nrsingananda Brahmachari heard that Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, he meditated on the Lord's route, imagining a road of jewels as far as Kanar Natshala, when he realized that this was as far as the Lord would go, and that he would not make it to Vrindavan this time. Thousands of people were accompanying the Lord at this time. When he arrived at Kanar Natshala, he remembered Sanatana Goswami's advice. To go on pilgrimage with such a large company of devotees is not recommended. That's in the Madhya Lila, chapter 1, verse 224 of Chaitanya Charitamrita. On his way back to Nilachal, Mahaprabhu stopped at Advaita's house in Shantipur. This time, he was accompanied by Ballabha Bhattacharya and Damodar Pandit. When the Lord returned from Gaya, he also went as far as Kanar Natshala, where he had a vision of Muralidhar Shri Krishna, who embraced him before he disappeared. That's Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapter 2, verses 179 to 185. Once he returned to Nilachal, Mahaprabhu told Nityananda Prabhu to go with Nityananda's own associates to Bengal to deliver the low-born, foolish and fallen people. Amongst his associates at that time were Sri Ramdas, Gadadhar Das, Raghunath Vaidya, Krishnadas Pandit, Parameśvarī Das, and Purandar Pandit. While traveling with Nityananda Prabhu, these devotees displayed various ecstatic moods. These are described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. It says, Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda, chapter 5, describes how Krishnadas Pandit, Parameśvarī Das, and Purandar Pandit were all enthusiastic to join Nityananda Prabhu. So all of his personal associates accompanied him on this journey back to Bengal. Before starting off, Nityananda Prabhu first empowered them by saturating them with Krishna Prem. They all completely forgot their external identities. There was no end to the variety of ecstatic moods that manifested in each one of their bodies. And now, this is chapter, also same chapter, verse 240. Parameśvarī Das and Krishnadas both shouted, "Hoi, hoi," in a spirit of cowherd voice. Hoi, hoi. Parameśvarī Das was one of the most important of Nityananda Prabhu's companions. He appeared specifically to enrich his pastimes. Nityananda Prabhu considered him to be his very own life. This too is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Parameśvarī Das is Nityananda Prabhu's life. Nityananda Prabhu used his body as an extension of his own. That's the Antya Khanda, chapter 5, verse 732. Wow. Nityananda Prabhu used Parameśvarī Das's body as an extension of his own. It is also stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that Mahaprabhu manifested himself in the Gauranga deity of Parameśvarī Das worshipped in Antapur. Here's from Chaitanya Bhagavat. It doesn't mention which khanda, but chapter 5 verses. Oh, I think it's the same chapter. I mean, it's Antya Khanda, chapter 5, verses 95 to 96. Purandar Pandit and Parameśvarī Das both saw the manifestation of Gaurachandra in the deity. As soon as they saw him, they ran towards him and fell down, crying in the ecstasy of love. It is said in the Bhakti Ratnakar that Parameśvarī Das was in the entourage of Nityananda Prabhu's Shakti, Janava Mata, when she went to the Keturi festival. And here's from Bhakti Ratnakar, chapter 10. It says, Janava Ishwari happily walked in the company of Gauranga, Nakari Krishnadas, Damodar Parameśvarī, the learned Balaram, Mukunda, Vrindavan Das, etc. Sri Parameśvarī Das Thakur also accompanied Janava Mata on her trip to Vrajdam, and by her mercy, witnessed the meeting of Srimati Radhika with Gopinath, and was flooded in ecstasy. In Bhakti Ratnakar, chapter 10, verses 245 to 246, it is stated that on Janava's order, he established the worship of Radha Gopinath deities in Antapur. Once back from Braj, Parameśvarī Das stayed for some time in Kardaha and Garalagacha village in the Puri district. When Narotam Das came to Kardaha, Parameśvarī Das gave him directions to Puri. In Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, it is written that just by remembering Parameśvarī Das, one can attain love for Krishna. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 11, verse 29. It says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Parameśvarī Das took exclusive shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. Whoever remembers him attains devotion to Krishna. Parameśvarī Das had miraculous powers. On one occasion, he was dancing in ecstasy during Harinam Sankirtan at the house of Kamalakar Pipalai in the town of Aknamahesh. Oh, Aknamahesh, got it, which is situated near Serampur. Hearing the sounds of the kirtan and stealing the ecstatic dancing caused by some of the local atheists, seeing the ecstatic dancing caused some of the local atheists to become very envious. Sorry, guys. They decided to pollute the kirtan area and teach the devotees a lesson. So they threw a dead jackal in the midst of the kirtan group. But Parameśvarī did not stop the Sankirtan for a moment. By the power of his kirtan, the jackal came back to life and participated in the kirtan. The other devotees were astonished by this display of power and were overcome by transcendental joy. This has been mentioned in the Vaishnava Vandana. So in the Vaishnava Vandana, it says, I very attentively worship Parameśvarī Das, who made a jackal come back to life during Sankirtan. In front of the people in Antapur, there are two huge bakula trees and a kadamba tree. Between them is the samadhi of Parameśvarī Das, over which is a tulsi altar. It is said that bakula trees grew from the branches of the two trees. It is said that the bakula trees grew from the branches of the two trees that grew there during the time of Parameśvarī Ṭhākura. Every year, the kadamba tree produces a flower that is used for the worship of the deities. Parameśvarī Ṭhākura's Tirobab, his disappearance festival, is held every year on the Vaishakhi Purnima, which is today. Jai Shri Parameśvarī Ṭhākura ki Jai. All right, and now we are going to read about Sri Mādhavendra Purī Pad. This is 4,000 words. I looked it up. So far, we already read about 4,000 words. And so, and it took us how long to read this? It took us 45 minutes. So we're going to read for another 45 minutes, and then we'll conclude our program. Starting to get a little tired, though, so I'm going to stand up. I'll walk around and read. All right. Where is there? Mādhavendra Purī, number 2. Okay, 1 second. I'm just going to unplug my computer. All right. Sri Mādhavendra Purī. 1 second. Let me just. There. Okay. Sri Mādhavendra Purī. Is my volume still okay? Yes, it is. Okay. Mahaprabhu's seniors, including his parents and gurus, are all his servants and eternal associates, and they take their birth prior to his appearance in order to serve him in their own way. Whenever Krishna descends to the earth, he first sends down his elders. These include his father, mother, guru, and all the other persons he considers to be the objects of his respect. He arranges that these persons should take birth before he does. Mādhavendra Purī, Ishwar Purī, Shachi, Jagannath Mishra, and Advaita Acharya are amongst those who appeared in this way. That was a quote from Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila chapter 3, verses 92 to 94. Later in the Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila chapter 13, verses 52 to 55, the same thing is described in the following way. Whenever the son of the king of Braj decides to appear on earth in order to fulfill a particular desire, then he first sends down his seniors. I'll briefly name some of them, as it is not possible to mention everyone. There's Shachi Devi, Jagannath Mishra, Mādhavendra Purī, Keshav Bharati, Ishwar Puri, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Pandit, Acharya Ratna, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and Haridas Thakur. The disciplic succession. Śrīla Mādhavendra Purī appeared in the 14th century. He was a guru of the Brahma or Madhva Sampradaya, one of the four, Brahma, Shri, Rudra, and Sanak, Vaishnava lineages that purify the world in the age of Kali. The Madhva lineage has been described in books like Gaur Ganodesh Tipika, Prameya Ratnavali, and the writings of Gopal Guru Gosvāmī. The mention of this lineage is also to be found in the Bhakti Ratnakar, chapter 5, verses, 2049 to 162. The following is taken from the Gaur Ganodesh Tipika. I'm not going to read all that Sanskrit, but you can see there's all the Sanskrit there. Wow, it's very long. Okay, so the translation is, Brahma, the master of this universe, was the disciple of the Lord of the spiritual world. His disciple was Narad, and Vyas became the disciple of Narad. Shuka became the disciple of Vyas through the endowment of spiritual knowledge. Madhvacharya took initiation in the Krishna mantra from Vyas. His disciple was Padmanabhacharya, whose disciple was Narahari, who was followed by Madhva Dvija. Akshobhya was his disciple. Then Tīrtha, Jnana Sindhu, Mahanidhi, Vidyanidhi, and Rajendra followed. Jayadharma Muni was one of Rajendra's many disciples, and Vishnupuri, the author of Bhakti Ratnavali, and Purushottam, the lover of Brahman culture, became his disciples. Vyas-Tirtha, the author of Vishnu Samhita, was a disciple of Purushottam. Lakshmipati Tirtha, a reservoir of devotion, was the disciple of Vyas-Tirtha. Mādhavendra Purī was a disciple of Lakshmipati, and it is by him that this religion was founded. His disciple, the sannyasi Ishwar Puri, took up the mood of conjugal devotion, while Advaita Acharya, also the disciple of Mādhavendra Purī, took up the moods of servitude and friendship. Gaur accepted Ishwar Puri as his guru, and then flooded the material and spiritual worlds with love. Thus, Mādhavendra Purī was a disciple of Lakshmipati Tīrtha. Mādhavendra Puri's disciples included Ishwar Puri, Advaita Acharya, Paramananda Puri, a Brahmin from the Tirhut area, Brahmananda Puri, Sri Rangapuri, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Raghupati Upadhyay, and others. Nityananda Prabhu is said by some to be Mādhavendra Puri's disciple. Others say that Lakshmipati was his guru, while in the Prem Vilas, it is said that he was Ishwar Puri's disciple. Whoa, I've never heard that before. I think a lot of our acharyas, I think my Srila Gurudev, and I think also Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada in his Gaudiya Bhashya was indicating that he is a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. But yeah, there's different opinions on it. Bhakti Vinod Thakur writes, Mādhavendra Purī was a well-known sannyasi of the Madhva Sampradaya. His grand disciple is Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Prior to Mādhavendra Puri's appearance, there is no evidence of Prem Bhakti in the Madhva line. In his verse, Ai Dina Dayardranatahe, and from that verse, the seed of the religious doctrines of Caitanya Mahaprabhu can be found. That verse is, you can find that verse, very famous, important verse. You'll find it in the Madhya Lila, chapter 4, verse 197. That chapter, chapter 4 of the Madhya Lila, I was actually thinking of reading that today, but then I looked at the word count and it was 7,000 words, so that would have been too long. But it's one of my favorite chapters of Caitanya Charitamrita. It's so Such a happy chapter. To this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada adds, Mādhavendra Purī was the first shoot of the desired tree of divine love which came out of the Madhva lineage. Prior to his appearance, there was no sign of the conjugal mood of devotion in the Madhva line. Mādhavendra and Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu met Mādhavendra Purī while wandering through the pilgrimage sites in Western India. As soon as they saw each other, they were overcome with the symptoms of ecstatic love. This event is described in the 9th chapter of the Adi Kanda. Okay, and so here's the Adi Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat. It says, as Nityananda Prabhu was wandering through southern India in this way, he suddenly encountered Mādhavendra Purī. Mādhavendra Purī was the embodiment of love, as were all his associates. He consumed nothing other than Krishna Ras, and Krishna dwelt in his body. How can I sufficiently glorify him whose disciple was Advaita Acharya? When Nityananda Prabhu saw Mādhavendra Purī, he fainted and became motionless with love. As soon as Madhav Purī saw Nityananda Prabhu, he too completely forgot himself and lost consciousness. No wonder Gauranga repeatedly said that Mādhavendra Purī was the, what's that word? I don't know that word. Harbinger. Okay, that means a person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. Okay. So Mādhavendra Purī was, I'm not sure if I'm saying the word right, harbinger of the ecstatic mood of devotion. And now here's a quote from, where is this quote from? Let's see. It's a long one. Okay, this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Kanda chapter 9. It says, Nityananda Prabhu said, I have visited many holy sites, but today I have been fulfilled by the sight of Mādhavendra Purī. I have finally achieved the true reward of visiting the holy places. I have never seen the symptoms of such divine love anywhere else. Mādhavendra loses consciousness simply upon seeing a cloud in the sky. Mādhavendra Purī embraced Nityananda Prabhu and wet him with his tears. He began to describe Nityananda Prabhu's glories and became completely absorbed in this description. He took Nityananda Prabhu to his chest, his throat so choked with tears that he could not speak. He felt such deep affection for Nityananda Prabhu that he would not let him go. He finally spoke, saying, I know that Lord Krishna is merciful to me, for he has given me a companion like Nityananda Prabhu. Anyone who feels even the slightest enmity for Nityananda Prabhu can never be dear to Krishna, no matter how much of a devotee he appears to be. That was all from Chaitanya Bhagavat, chapter 9. The Bhakti Ratnakara also describes the glories of Mādhavendra Purī and states that Nityananda Prabhu treated him as a guru. Okay. So this is Bhakti Ratnakara. Mādhavendra Purī is the embodiment of ecstatic loving devotion. Simply by remembering his name, all perfections are achieved. Ishwar Puri, Ranga Puri, and so many of his other disciples were intoxicated with the loving devotion in the way he was. Mādhavendra Purī had many disciples throughout Bengal and Orissa, all of whom were devotees and fixed in Prem Bhakti. So that's chapter 5 of Bhakti Ratnakara. And now what's this that we're reading? And that also from chapter 5 of Bhakti Ratnakara, continuing on. A few days later, in a holy place on the west coast of India, Nityananda Prabhu met Mādhavendra Purī. Who can describe the manifestations of love that arose in their meeting? Only those who were there can know. Mādhavendra Purī treated Nityananda Prabhu as a friend and equal, but Nitai treated him like a superior. Mādhavendra Purī said, I know that Krishna has been merciful toward me, for he has given me a companion like Nityananda Prabhu. On the other hand, Nityananda Prabhu never treated him as anything but a guru. Giridhari Gopal. After taking sannyasa in Katwa, Mahaprabhu went to Shantipur and spent some time at Advaita Acharya's house. Then he proceeded from there to Sri Purushottam, to Puri, following the path through Chhatrabhog along the banks of the Ganga. He traveled through Atisara, Panihati, and Varahanagar, until finally he arrived at the border of the kingdom of Utkal, Odisha, at the place called Vridha Mantreshwar. Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda Datta, Jagadananda Pandit, and Damodar Pandit were his companions on this journey. They came to the town of Remuna in the district of Baleshwar, where they visited the deity Kirchor Gopinath. Afterward, Mahaprabhu recounted to his companions the story of Mādhavendra Purī as he had heard it from his guru Ishwar Puri, at the same time telling how Kirchor Gopinath had earned his name. Yeah, so this part of Chaitanya Charitamrita is so delightful. Right. One day, Mādhavendra Purī was circumambulating Govardhan in a state of total intoxication and absorbed in love for Krishna. When he arrived at Govindakund, he took his bath and sat down beneath a nearby tree to perform his evening sandhya meditation and rituals. While he was doing so, a young cowherd boy carrying a pot of milk approached him and said with a smile, "What have you been thinking? Why don't you ask for something to eat? I have brought you some milk. Drink it." When Mādhavendra Purī saw the beautiful lad, he was so amazed that he completely forgot his hunger and thirst. Instead, he asked him, "Who are you? Where do you live? How did you know that I had not eaten?" The cowherd boy answered, "I am a cowherd and I live in this village. In our village, no one ever goes hungry. Some people beg for food, but if someone doesn't ask, then I bring him something to eat. The women folk came here to fetch water and saw that you had not eaten. They sent me here with this milk for you. But it is nearly milking time and I'll have to leave. I'll come back later to fetch the pot." Mādhavendra Purī was astonished to see the boy walk away and disappear. He drank the milk and then washed the pot and put it aside, waiting for the cowherd boy to return. He sat under the tree, chanting the holy names until the end of the night, when he started to doze. While asleep, he had a dream in which the cowherd boy came to him and led him by the hand to a wooden bower. The boy said, "I live here in this bower, but I am very uncomfortable due to the summer heat, the rains, and the winter cold. Go and tell the village folk to help you uncover me and take me to the top of the hill and build a shelter for me. Then bathe me with cool, clear water. I have been waiting for you for a long time, wondering when you would come to serve me. I was waiting for your loving service so that I could show myself and thereby save the entire universe. My name is Gopal, the lifter of Govardhan." Krishna's great-grandson, Aniruddha's son Vajra, established my service so many years ago, but the pujari in charge of my service hid me here when he fled out of fear of the Muslims. Since then, I have been here. It is good that you have finally come here. Now please dig me up." When Mādhavendra Purī awoke, he began to cry from his intense feelings of love, thinking, "Alas, Krishna himself came to me in the form of a cowherd boy, and I was unable to recognize him." However, after a few moments, he brought himself under control in order to carry out Gopal's orders. He took his morning bath and then gathered the village folk together and said, "Gopal, the lifter of Govardhan, is the deity of this village, but he is buried in this bower. Go and bring axes and shovels. We have to dig him up. And release him." The village people enthusiastically started to clear the bower and soon discovered a large deity who was covered in earth and weeds. The strongest of the local people lifted the deity up and carried him to the top of the hill, where they placed him on a large rock throne. In order to carry out the grand Abhishek ceremony, the local Brahmins had water from Govindakund filtered and carried to the site in 100 new jugs. When word got out of the discovery of the deity, and it was announced that his puja and Abhishek would soon be held, a joyful noise arose in all directions. Musicians played on their instruments, and the people danced and sang. The mountain was covered with all kinds of offerings, including ghee, milk, yogurt, and sandesh, all gifts from the local people. Mādhavendra Purī himself performs the Abhishek bathing ceremony. First of all, he cleans the accumulated dirt from the body of the deity according to the regulations. And then it says in square brackets, it says, the scriptures say that barley and wheat flour, a powder made from, oh God, I don't know how to say that, Simplocos racemosa, as well as the powder of pistachio nuts, saffron, and pulses, are to be used to clean the deity's body. A brush made from long ushir grasses and the hair of a cow's tail can also be used. Okay. Afterwards, Gopal's body was made shiny with oil, and then he was bathed again. First in Panchagavya. Panchagavya is milk, yogurt, clarified butter, cow's urine, and dung. And then in Panchamrita, that's milk, yogurt, clarified butter. Sorry, I don't know why I can't say butter. Milk, yogurt, clarified butter, honey, and sugar. This procedure is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa's 6th chapter, where it is said, I'm not going to read the Sanskrit, but it says, first bathe the deity with milk poured from a conch shell, then with yogurt, clarified butter, honey, and finally sugar, each one separately. That's Hari Bhakti Vilas 630. After this, Gopal was bathed with 100 jugs of water. This was the great bathing ceremony, the Mahasnan, in which ghee and water are used in equal parts, and a total of 100 seers, that's approximately a liter of water, are needed. So 100 liters of water, approximately. Once again, just plugging in my computer again. Okay. After bathing a deity in this way, and then oiling once again, Mādhavendra Purī bathed so he bathed them in water scented with sandalwood and perfumes poured from a conch. The Hari Bhakti Vilas prescribes 100 palas. What's a pala? A pala is a smaller measure of weight, about equal to 1.5 ounces or 45 grams. 25 palas of oil or ghee is thus about a liter. 2,000 palas of water is about 80 liters. Okay. So the Hari Bhakti Vilas describes 100 palas of water for the bath, another 25 of oil for the body, and then 2,000 palas for the Mahasnan, 80 liters of water. After the Mahasnan, or great bath, was completed, the entire body of the deity was dried with a cloth, and he was dressed in a clean cloth and decorated with sandalwood, tulsi, and flower garlands. Just as Krishna instructed the cowherds at the end of the Dwapara Yuga to worship Govardhan with a mountain of foodstuffs, so in the Kali Yuga, Mādhavendra Purī ordered a mountain of food to be prepared for Giridhari Gopal. 10 Brahmins were engaged in preparing the rice, another 5 in cooking vegetable preparations, another 5 or 6 Brahmins prepared various types of bread, which was all brought together in one place to be heaped up in the shape of a mountain. A pile of rice was surrounded by many clay pots filled with soups, cooked vegetable preparations, milk, yogurt, whey, shikarini, that's a drink made of yogurt, milk, sugar, camphor, and pepper, rice pudding, butter, cream, etc. When the mountain of food was ready, Mādhavendra Purī made the offering, along with many jugs filled with water. Gopal, who had not eaten for such a long time, hungrily ate everything he was offered. Even so, by his merciful touch, all the pots were again filled. Only Mādhavendra Purī saw how the Lord did this. Afterwards, Mādhavendra Purī offered the deity a mouthwash and then betel leaf. Then he performed the arati ceremony, after which he brought a new bed for Gopal to rest upon. When Gopal was finally taking rest, Mādhavendra Purī fed the prasad of the Anukut festival, first to all the Brahmins, and then to all the men and women and children, and then to all the men, women, and children of the village. Word spread to all the villages of the area that Gopal had made his appearance, and the people from each village took turns having their own feast on different days in his honor. And this is from that chapter 4 of Madhya Lila, verse 95. It says, the people of Braj are naturally affectionate toward Krishna, and Krishna too is affectionate to them. In time, the rich Kshatriyas had a temple built for Gopal and gave him 10,000 cows. Mādhavendra Purī remains there for 2 years in Gopal's service, until one day he again had a dream in which Gopal told him that he still suffered from the heat, and it was only by smearing Malayaja sandalwood that he would be freed of the problem. There's a footnote A. Why did it? Sorry. Here. What does Malayaja? Malayaja says, this is sandalwood from the Malaya Mountains, the part of Western Ghats lying south of Mysore and east of Travancore, the region of Malabar. Okay. It's like he wanted that kind of sandalwood. Mādhavendra Purī was overjoyed to receive the Lord's direct order, and after engaging a qualified person to serve him, he started off on a journey toward the east to find Malayaja sandalwood. Malaya refers to the Malabar coast in Kerala at the very south of India, in what is known as the Western Ghats. This area is also known as Nilgiri or Malaya Parvat. Sandalwood is so closely associated with this area that the word Malayaja, born of Malaya, is a synonym for the perfumed wood. The story of Kir Chora Gopinath. One second. Haribo Rukmini Didi and Vidya Lalasa Didi. Okay. So the story of Kir Chora Gopinath. One second. Let me just. Okay. While on his way to the south, Mādhavendra Purī stopped at Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur and initiated him. From there, he went on until he arrived at Remuna. Seeing the beautiful deity of Gopinath and Remuna, Mādhavendra Purī was overwhelmed with love and started singing his names and danced for some time in ecstasy. Being extremely satisfied with the exquisite offerings to Gopinath, he asked one of Gopinath's Brahmin servants what foods were offered to the deity. The Brahman answered, "In the evening, we give Gopinath 12 bowls of Amrita Keli, a thickened milk preparation that is like the nectar of the gods. This kheer is famous everywhere as Gopinath's kheer, and no offering anywhere in the world is its equal." So that's verse 119 from that chapter 4. I also remember it being called Amrita Gutika. Amrita Gutika. Anyways, I'm not going to look that up now. Amrita Keli. That's in the Bhog Arti song, isn't it? Amrita Keli Sar. What is it? Karpura Amrita Keli Ramba Kira Sar. Okay. As the Brahmin spoke, other servants of Gopinath started to make the Amrita Keli offering to the deity. Mādhavendra Purī thought that if he could just get a taste of this preparation unsolicited, he would be able to one day make it himself and offer this kheer to his own Gopal. However, this very thought of eating the kheer shamed him. After watching the Arati ceremony, Mādhavendra Purī went outside and sat in the empty marketplace, chanting the holy names. Mādhavendra Purī followed the Ayachak Vritti, which means that he would never ask for food from anyone and only accepting the food that was spontaneously offered to him. He was able to do this because he never felt hunger or thirst, as he was constantly engaged in drinking the nectar of prem, and that kept him satisfied. In the meantime, the pujari had finished his duties and was taking rest when he had a vision of the deity in a dream. The deity told him, "Get up, open the door. I have put a bowl of kheer aside for the sannyasi. It is hidden between the pleats of my dhoti. You did not see me hide the bowl there because of my maya. The sannyasi, whose name is Mādhav Purī, is sitting in the marketplace. Quickly, take this kheer to him." So that's verses 127 to 129 in that chapter 4. The pujari was startled by the dream and immediately got up. He bathed, opened the door to the altar, and found a bowl of kheer behind the deity's cloth, just as he had been told. He took the bowl and went to find Mādhavendra Purī. He wandered through the market, shouting, "I have kheer here for Mādhav Purī. Gopinath has stolen it for you. Take it and eat it with joy, for there's no person as fortunate as you in the three worlds. When Mādhavendra Purī heard the Pujari shouting in this way, he approached him and identified himself. The Pujari gave him the kheer and then fell at his feet. He recounted the whole story to Mādhavendra Purī, sending him into, oh God, how do you say that word? Anyways, I'm going to say it wrong, but it doesn't matter. Paroxysms. I think that's right. Paroxysms. That's a sudden attack or outburst of a particular emotion or activity. A paroxysm of weeping. So, yeah. So he recounted the whole story to Mādhavendra Purī, sending him into paroxysms of divine love for Lord Krishna. He respectfully ate the prasad, and then, after washing the clay bowl, broke it into many small pieces and wrapped them up in his outer garment. Each day thereafter, he would eat a piece of the clay bowl and once again feel the same ecstatic love. Knowing that word of this miracle would spread by morning, Mādhavendra Purī became fearful of the celebrity that would inevitably befall him and the crowd of people that would then surround him. So he paid his obeisance to Gopinath from that very place and left for Puri before dawn. When Mādhavendra Purī arrived in Jagannath Puri, he visited Lord Jagannath and became ecstatic with love at seeing him. News of the miracle at Remuna had reached Puri even before he had, the news of the miracle at Remuna had reached Puri even before he had, and countless people came to see him and pay him their respects. And now this is a quote from Caitanya Charitamrita, verse 146 of this chapter. It says, "The nature of fame in this world is well known. Even if one does not seek it, it comes anyway as a result of one's destiny. Though Mādhavendra Purī was afraid of being distracted by celebrity and ran away from it, when one has love for God, then celebrity comes flowing to him without being sought." Follows behind him. What is it? In the Dushtaman Tumi Kisera Vaishnava song. Vaishnavera Pache, Pratishtasha Ache. Anyways, it says Mādhavendra Purī, Bhava Ghare Churi. God, I have such a bad memory. Anyways, it talks about this in the Dushtaman Tumi Kisera Vaishnava song. Even though Mādhavendra Purī wanted to flee from there because people were honoring him as a great devotee, he was unable to do so because he was committed to finding the sandalwood because he was committed to finding the sandalwood he had promised to bring Gopal. He went to the servants and directors of Lord Jagannath Temple and explained his mission. Those who had contacts with the king, they interceded and collected both sandalwood and camphor on Mādhavendra Purī's behalf. They then arranged for another Brahmin and a servant to travel with him to help him carry the load. The king also gave him an official exemption paper to help him avoid customs duties. On his return route, Mādhavendra Purī stopped in Remuna again. Once again, he danced and sang kirtan before Gopinath in a state of loving absorption and accepted the kheer prasad from the pujari. That night, he slept in the temple. Once again, he had a vision of Gopal, who spoke to him as follows. "Listen, Madhav, I have already received all the sandalwood and camphor. Now grind it into a paste and smear it on Gopinath's body. Gopinath and I are one and the same person. If you give him the sandalwood, I will feel the cooling effect. Don't hesitate. Don't doubt this message at all. Just believe me and give Gopinath the sandalwood on my order." It's verses 158 to 161 of chapter 4. After having this dream, Mādhavendra Purī summons the servants of Gopinath to let him know what Gopal had told him. He let them know what Gopal had told him. The pujaris were very happy to hear that Gopinath would be getting sandalwood paste, as it was the middle of summer. Mādhavendra Purī had his two companions, as well as two other persons from the temple, daily grinds the sandalwood into a paste. He stayed in Remuna until it had been used up in Gopinath's service. At the end of the summer season, with the coming of the rains, Mādhavendra Purī returned to Puri, where he observed Chaturmasya and demonstrated the exemplary character of his ecstatic love for Krishna. Gopal gave Mādhavendra Purī the order to bring sandalwood paste to show the world the depth of his love. It was a great effort for Mādhavendra Purī to bring the sandalwood as far as Remuna, but he experienced it as a joy, not a difficulty. Gopal gave Mādhavendra Purī this commission in order to test him, but when he passed the test, he was merciful to his devotee. Those are verses 187 to 189 of that same chapter. What is it? Tomar sevai dukkha hoy jata sheo to paramasuka. The Sanodiya Brahman. Sri Mādhavendra Purī mercifully bestowed love for Krishna on a Sanodiya Brahman in Mathura. What is a Sanodiya Brahman? According to Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur, members of the business community, Vaishyas, in the west of India are divided into several castes. There's Agarwals, Kanwars, and Sanwars. Of these, the Agarwals are considered to be very pure, while the other two other groups, who are gold and jewelry merchants, are considered to be fallen as a result of their actions. Those Brahmins who perform the ritual activities for the Kanwars and Sanwars are known as Sanodiya Brahmins. Because of their association with these two lower castes, they are also considered to be fallen as a caste, and sannyasis refuse to accept food in their homes. Interesting. So it's a caste of Brahmins, but they're considered low caste Brahmins. Okay. So Mādhavendra Purī mercifully bestowed love for Krishna on a Sanodiya Brahman in Mathura. He accepted food from this Brahman, knowing him to be a Vaishnav. By this, he showed how the Daiva Varnashram system is meant to operate. Later on, when Mahaprabhu was traveling in northern India, he went to take food at this Sanodiya Brahman's house between his visits to Kashi and Prayag, because he knew that Mādhavendra Purī had been merciful to him. He even showed him the respects that was due to a senior person, saying, "You are my guru, and I am practically your disciple. It is not fitting for a guru to pay obeisance to a disciple." That's from Madhya Lila, chapter 17, verse 170. This was the example that Mahaprabhu exhibited. We're almost at the end. It says here that there are 4 minutes left in the chapter. Sri Mādhavendra Purī and Sri Ishwar Purī. There is another important incident from Mādhavendra Puri's immaculate life left to be told. Ramachandra Puri and Ishwar Puri were two of Mādhavendra Puri's initiated disciples. However, Ramachandra Puri was unable to receive his spiritual master's mercy because he showed him disrespect, whereas Ishwar Puri was blessed through his single-minded devotion to him and was thus able to attain the highest level of pure love for Krishna. Ramachandra Puri was unable to understand the sweetness and supremacy of his Gurudev's feelings of separation and had the audacity to give him advice based on knowledge of Brahman. Mādhavendra Puri became so angry that he shunned him completely. Even though he was a great loving devotee, Mādhavendra Puri became angry with his own disciple when he became offensive, chastised him severely using harsh words. When Ramachandra Puri told him to remember that he was a spiritual being, Mādhavendra Puri became extremely angry and said, "Get away from me, you most sinful rascal. I am dying from the distress of not having received Krishna's mercy, of not having attained Mathura, and you come to add to my misery. Go wherever you like, but don't show your face to me again. If I see you while I'm dying, I will take a lower birth. I am dying from the distress of not having attained Krishna, and this lowly fool is teaching me about Brahman." As a result, Mādhavendra Puri withdrew his blessings from his disciple, who then started to develop a vasana, referring to the desire for dry knowledge that lends to the tendency to criticize the devotees. He became a dry philosopher without any interest in Krishna. Not only that, but he became critical of everyone, devoting himself to fault-finding. That's from the Antya Lila, chapter 8, verses 20 to 25. Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on this incident in his Anubhashya. He says, even though Ramachandra Puri saw his own guru suffering of separation of Krishna, he was incapable of recognizing the transcendental nature of his transport of emotions. He judged his guru to be an ordinary man and took his mood to be material, the result of some material insufficiency. As a result, he tried to explain to him the value of experiencing the oneness of Brahman. Mādhavendra Purī reacted unfavorably to his disciples' stupidity and disregard for his teachings, and thus stopped wishing for his well-being. He abandoned him and drove him away. On the other hand, Ishwar Puri not only adhered to his guru's teaching, but served him physically and thus received his mercy. He served the lotus feet of his spiritual master, even to the point of personally cleaning his urine and excrement, as well as helping him to perform Shravan of Krishna's name and pastimes. In this way, he satisfied him completely. He continuously repeated the name of Krishna and recounted Krishna's pastimes to him. Mādhavendra Purī was so pleased with Ishwar Puri that he embraced him and blessed him, saying, "May you have the wealth of love for Krishna." From that time onward, Ishwar Puri became an ocean of love for Krishna, while Ramachandra Puri became a mine of insults. These two personalities thus bear witness to the results of pleasing or displeasing a great soul. Mādhavendra Puri taught this truth through them. He was the spiritual master of the whole world, and he gave the gift of love of God. He left this world while repeating this verse from Padyavali. This is such an important verse. It's glorified so much in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We can all say it together if you're able to. Ai dina daryardra nata he, mathura nata kada balokya se, hridayang tvar aloka kataram, daita brahmyati kim karomyaham. O Lord, whose heart softens at hearing the condition of the unfortunate. O Lord of Mathura, when will I see you? My heart is filled with pain from not seeing you, my love, and I am confused. What can I do? When Mahaprabhu recited this verse, he became so intoxicated with love that Nityananda Prabhu had to hold him to calm him down. Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati writes, "The feeling of separation from Krishna, or transcendental vipralambha, is the only practice by which the spirit soul can achieve perfection. Material feelings of separation give rise to a despondency which reveals the attachments that one has for matter, whereas the despondency that results from the feelings of separation from Krishna is the best proof of one's desire to bring pleasure to his senses. The desire to bring pleasure to Krishna's senses shown by Mādhavendra Puri, the great soul who is at the root of this movement, is the ideal example to follow for anyone who wishes to serve the Lord. It is especially worth remarking that Mahaprabhu and his closest followers later adopted this example and made it their standard. Mādhavendra Puri's disappearance day is the Shukla Dwadashi of the month of Falgun, in the middle of Navadip Dham Parikrama. Jai Shri Mādhavendra Puri Pad Ki Jai. All right, so that is our program for today. Thanks for staying till the end. I'm going to do Jayadvani, and then after, oh yeah, I remember Bhavatarani Mataji wanted to share something that Srila Prabhupada told her on the topic of Matsarya, and also Sarveshwari Mataji has a question. So I'll do Jayadvani, and then I'll give it to both of you. All right. Actually, no, quick kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nita Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitya Lila Vishnu Vishnupad Ashratara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Varanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitya Lila Vishnu Vishnupad Ashratara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Varanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Vishnu Vishnupad Ashratara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Vishnu Vishnupad Ashratara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Anugaurya Guru Varga Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Shila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Shila Bhakti Ballabha Tīrtha Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Shila Bhakti Daita Mādhavendra Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Shila Bhakti Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Shila Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All the associates of Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Vibhushan Prabhu Ki Jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Narottam Srinivas Ramananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath, Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Namachay Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandala, Gaura Mandala, Braja Mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Mādhavendra Purī Ki Jai, the root of Prem Bhakti in our line. Shri Mādhavendra Purī Ki Jai. Jai. And all of his perfect disciples, Shri Ishwar Puri, Shri Advaita Acharya, and so on. Ki Jai. Paramananda Puri also, right? And many others. Brahmananda Puri. Jai. And Shri Todiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi Ki Jai. Shri Parameśvarī Ṭhākura, the associates, the Dwarash Gopal of Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Arjuna Saka, Krishna's Arjuna Saka Ki Jai. so Parameśvarī Ṭhākura's Tirobhav Titi Ki Jai. Then Śrīla Śrīnivāsācārya Ki Jai. Todiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi Ki Jai. Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. This beautiful book, Shri Caitanya and his associates by Srila Bhakti Ballabha Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Also, Kurmadev Ki Jai, Shri Buddha Avatar Ki Jai.
Jai.
Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavashta, Krishna Bhakti, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo. Oh, and is today the, I think today is also the appearance of Radharaman, right? So,
yes,
Radharaman Ki Jai.
You can show him the photo.
I don't know how to turn the phone.
All right, so to any devotees who have to go now, Dandavat Pranams. But if anybody would like to stay, Bhavatarani Mataji is going to share some things that Srila Prabhupada, because we just recently read this article, Matsarya, Envy, by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And so Bhavatarani Mataji has some wonderful, well, let's hear what she has to say on this topic from Srila Prabhupada, directly to her. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yes. Dandavats, everyone. Please accept my obeisances. So in 1974, Srila Prabhupada was in Hawaii, and I had a private interview with him. And before that, he had been giving a class, and there was some situation where some devotees wanted to leave ISKCON, And we'd been hearing reasons why, and someone said it was because they were envious. That's why they wanted to leave ISKCON. So a devotee asked a question. She said, how do you become free from envy? And Srila Prabhupada looked straight at her and said, don't envy the spiritual master. And she said, oh, well, I thought he was, I was referring to the other group that wanted to leave, but he was looking straight at me and telling me not to envy the spiritual master. So can I come in with you when you go to see Prabhupada and ask him to explain further? So she came with me to see Srila Prabhupada. And when we finished our discussion, she said, can I ask you to explain further about becoming free from envy? And he said, just like Prahlad Mahārāja, he was never envious. He was never afraid. When something bad came, he said, oh, here's my Lord, here's Krishna. And when something good came, he said, oh, here is my Lord, here is Krishna. So he was never envious. He was never afraid. So.
Jai Ho, beautiful. Wow, and it's very neat how that the topic of envy and Prahlad Mahārāja is both at the same time, and then it's
right.
like directly related.
That's why I wanted to share it. Yes.
It's very relevant. Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Nari Hari Bol. And Sarveshwari Mataji, you said that you had, oh yeah. Sarveshwari Mataji, you said that you had a question?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, regarding what we read in the Bhaktivinoda Thakur about Matsarya, I just was regarding to Punya and Punya Vasana. So I was thinking that envy is related with Punya and Punya Vasana. So the general definition of Punya I reach is to donated something in charity. So I was thinking regarding what we read, that is maybe it's connection because forgetting Krishna and doing charity, we think that we will obtain name and fame. So it's also envious of Krishna. I was thinking, in this regarding, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes, I think that's right on. Definitely. Yeah, we went. Even though it looks like we're trying to help other living entities and we're doing pious things, but we're really doing it for ourselves. It's not selfless. And even if it is done, like even though it probably isn't, but even if it is done completely selflessly with no desire for name and fame, you're doing it anonymously, giving donations, still, it's not going to help the living entities in the long run. It might help them for a day or something like that, or for a very short time, but it's gonna do absolutely nothing for getting them out of this cycle of samsara, you know. And so the only thing that we can really help any living entity is anything to do with bhakti and help them leave this terrible cycle. Sorry, that's a different topic. You're mentioning envy. So yes, that is a very good point. That it's that envious. Yeah.
To Krishna. Yeah.
Yes, envious of Krishna.
For us. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that point becomes a lot more clear. Thank you. Jai Ho. Envious of Krishna. Yes. Hari Bol. All right. So thank you everybody for joining, and tomorrow we will go over the next song. I think it's of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Sharanagati. I think it's Prabhu He. I forgot the title. Anyways, I'm going to prepare it today, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for that. Also, tomorrow is the Disappearance Day of Bhakti Saranga Gosvāmī Mahārāja. So I remember the Hari Prabhu and Pavatarani Mataji shared some things about him. We were reading about him a little bit in the Dainik Nadia Prakash. So maybe I could also read a short thing about him tomorrow as well. All right. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Hari Om.